Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly coaching and training session. I am so excited to be here today to talk to you about a very important topic that should be at the top of everyone's list. Today, we are going to talk about self care. The one question I get asked is, do you know how to take care of yourself? And of course, most of the time I will answer that question. Yes, I know how to take care of myself. We all engage in regular self care. We do things that make us feel taken care of, particularly the physical aspect. But oftentimes we struggle with the mental part of self care and emotionally. I don't know about you, but I know I do. I'm great. If you know me, you know that I'm really great at taking care of myself physically, but not always do a great job with my mental and emotional aspects. So self care is all about all three, right? Physical, mental, and emotional. And I read this quote: you must fill your own cup before you can pour into others. And it really stuck to me, and I thought it was very appropriate, to mention it during today's section. Our guest speaker today is an expert in self care. Sheneke Harris is the founder and owner of She Speaks LLC, a brand dedicated to encouraging women to embrace their life journey while telling their personal stories, which would help other women heal from their past and walk boldly into their destiny that God has designed for them. She is an HR and social services professional with over 20 years of experience with concentrations in conflict management, professional development, mentoring, and public speaking. She has a bachelor's degree in human resource management. Sheneke truly believes that when women collaborate with, connect, help, and support other women, amazing things happen. She's also the author of the Hey Sis Reflection Guide, a combination of reflection points and personal self improvement challenges to help women become the best version of themselves. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in any of our social media platforms. Thank you. Now, without any further ado, here is Sheneke Harris.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on the platform. Thank you so much for that intro and adding your personal story to that. I think that is so important when we do these types of discussions, especially in the area of self care. So, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. I am not a medical professional, I am not a mental health expert, but what I am talking to you about today is based off of my personal experience. That's the only way I know how to have these conversations because it's trial and error each time. We've been talking about self care for a long time, but it was really brought to the forefront, of course, as you know, Bruni, during COVID, because we were trying to figure out ways to survive and take care of ourselves. And some of us were on the right track, but it kind of put us back a little bit and we had to figure out what to do. So I'm excited to talk about self care today because it is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. If you've heard me speak before, you know I'm retired military. I did 22 years, 8 months, and 17 days. But who was counting, right? I was married to another Air Force veteran, and we have two beautiful girls. And you can imagine what that looked like pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. My husband and I are now retired, and even with that, you still have to think about that self-care because things change, life changes, and things keep moving so fast that we forget, hey, I need to slow down. I need to take care of myself. And I don't know about you, but it's already November. I feel like we were just saying Happy New Year. And then we were celebrating summertime. And now here we are. It's November. And it's the week of Thanksgiving. And when I was talking to Annie previously, she gave me some of the things that she wanted us to talk about. And when it got to November, I was like, oh man, I definitely want to talk about this. So I'm not going to belabor the point. I do have some self care tips, and I call them the ABCs of self care because it's things that we're probably already doing, but we just need to remind ourselves of. So, of course, self care looks different for everyone, right? For some of us, it's working out, we're taking care of ourselves physically. For some of us, it's the mental self care. How are we navigating what life is handing to us? For some of us, it's the emotional self care. How do I fill my cup and the cup of others, but still make sure I'm emotionally intact? And with that, we want the first thing we have to remember about this time of year, and I always say this time of year because for some, this is deemed the happiest time of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a song about it. I know I get excited about it because this is my happiest time of the year. But we have to remember that as we approach the holiday season, whether you are active duty, retired, are you separated, or whatever your case may be, this may not be the happiest time of the year for some people. For some of us, we just retired, so we're still trying to figure out what that camaraderie looks like now that you don't have your military family. Some of us have moved to different areas due to transitioning. Maybe we've moved back home or we've moved to a new location with our families or significant others or fur babies, and we're in a different place and we're trying to figure things out. And for some of us, this time of the year may be associated with grief or loss. So we have to remember that, yes, the lights and all of those things in the family time is great. But for some of us, it may not be that way. And for some of us, it is. So, whatever your situation is, we have to remember to be empathetic for those reasons, right? Your family. Make sure you're thinking about your friends, even your strong friends who's taking care of everyone else. And you may be that strong friend. Hopefully, someone's checking on you. Your coworkers. I know we laugh and we joke about the potlucks and all of those things that go on, but make sure that we're checking on those coworkers, the ones that like to be at work all the time. And maybe they just like to work, or maybe they're at work to be distracted from something else. Check on your leaders, the leaders within your organizations, whether it's a work organization, a private organization. Check on the people that lead within your homes. Because when you're in a leadership position, we're taking care of everyone else, but are we taking care of ourselves? And if you're in the military or transitioning out, this is the time where usually we ramp up checking up on the people that are within our charge, but we also have to make sure we're checking on our peers and that we're checking on each other. And the people that you come in contact throughout the day while we're out shopping for Thanksgiving meals and Christmas gifts and the Uber driver and the airport personnel, a simple, hey, how are you doing? Those are the things that we need to remember because remember, some of those people were still considered essential personnel through the last 2 or 3 years. So, with that, the first thing I want to just say is just make sure that yes, it may be the happiest time of the year for you, but it may not be for others. So, just be empathetic about that.
Absolutely. And if I can just comment on that, Shanika, because you brought in a really great point. And one of the things that I always did was I made a habit of walking around work and just to not only just to step out of the desk and the screen,
Hmm.
uh, but to also walk around and say hi to
Yes.
everyone that I came in contact with, whether
Hmm.
that was in the hallway, when I went to use the restroom, right?
Hmm.
Because you don't know if you're making someone's day just by simply saying, hi, how are you doing?
Yes.
And anybody that knows me, I'm always smiling.
Hmm.
So I always render a smile to everyone, and it doesn't really matter who,
Yes.
because it is very important that we become empathetic, right, with all the people. And the only way that you can do that is by taking baby steps. just by saying good morning, how are you doing? But
Mm.
also, putting a smile on your face to
Yeah,
let them know that they are welcome,
yeah.
in your environment. So
Yeah,
thank you for making that point, Sheneke.
yeah, you are so welcome. So with that, I want to move quickly to the ABCs, right? And I only picked five. I know there are 26 letters, so I'm not going to go through all of those. However, I started off with the first one being accountability, right? When it comes to self care, we have to hold ourselves accountable. And how do you do that when it comes to self care? Put yourself on your priority list. Depending on your family situation, maybe you're taking care of a family member, or maybe you have a lot of people that you're responsible for, but you have to put yourself on the list. I do understand sometimes you can't be number one, even though we should be our biggest fans. But you can be number two or number three. Just make sure you're at the top of that list because, like Bruni said earlier, you can't fill from an empty cup. And that happens when we are running around taking care of everyone, but we forgot about this being here that is doing all of the work. So hold yourself accountable. Don't overextend yourself. Don't overbook yourself. Don't put yourself in situations where you know you're going to be triggered, where it may not be a good situation for you. Because in the holidays we kind of give people passes, right? Especially family or friends. Oh, they're going through something. No, hold yourself accountable. You don't have to be everywhere doing everything. And it's okay, right? If we have not learned anything, we must learn that self accountability. I need to hold myself to a standard so that I can continue to do and be who I need to be for myself and, of course, the people that are in your lives. Be accountable for others. Challenge yourself. Be an accountability partner for someone. If you have a girlfriend that you know is always taking on extra things, it's okay to check her. And I know this sounds real simple, but it's okay to say, sis, I'm wondering, do you really have to do that? Even with the males in your lives or, whatever people identify as, you can check people and you can do it in a loving way. And I think that is the key, in a loving way. Remind people, maybe someone has some goals about self care. You can remind them of what their goals are. I think that's important. The self accountability and holding others accountable. Boundaries. Now, Bruni, I talk about this often. And I do that because it's so easy to overstep boundaries or allow others to do that.
Mhm.
And I have had people tell me, like, man, sometimes I just wish that you opened up more. Well, I set boundaries for myself because I know how I am. I'm a very giving person. I will help you. And sometimes I used to overextend myself, but then I had to create boundaries. And I always share this one boundary, and it has been amazing, that do not disturb function on your phone. We are in a digital age where anyone can reach out to you at any point in time. And it's important to create a digital boundary because that can accept that can affect your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional journey. If you look at your phone and you see this name pop up and it sends you in a space, you need to tighten up your boundaries. If it's 11 or 12 o'clock at night and you're getting texts and emails, you don't have to respond unless it's an emergency. Set those boundaries. I've done that and I've communicated to those that I love and care about. I don't answer my phone after 7 p.m. You can send whatever it is you need to send, but you won't get a response. Or maybe until the next day. And my friends, I love them, my family, they know. And I've had some, I know, I have one friend that calls me crack of dawn because I get up extremely early, but she knows when I do respond, I'm up and I'm moving around. I have another friend who will say, "Are you up?" Because they know I'm up, but I'm drinking my coffee or my tea. I'm doing other things, and I'll get to you when my do not disturb goes off or when I'm ready for the day. The other thing when it comes to boundaries, and I know it's different for everyone, close that laptop,
Mhm.
close it. Even though you're passionate, and I'm talking to me too, about what it is that your purpose is and what you're doing, sometimes we have to close the laptop, put it in another room, and go sit on the back porch, go sit upstairs, disconnect. And that's okay because you come back refreshed. If you like me, you got your iPad here, you have your laptop here, you have your phone here, you have the TV on, and you got music going. The stimulation that is going on. And when you finally lay down and you don't know why you can't decompress because your body is trying to shut down, but you're overstimulated. So set those digital boundaries. I say digital because I can go from my experience. That's most of the things that I have to cut off, the digital piece, because it is easy access. So then we'll go into community. When it comes to self care, community is important. If you don't have a community, you can build one. I know people who have needs and they're looking for certain things and they aren't there. So what are they doing? They're building their communities to help them work through some of the things in their lives. That's what I did. That's how I created She Speaks. It's not that I didn't have anyone, but I wanted to create this community that I needed at the time where I was going through a dark period. So create community. Also, learn who your community is, where you live, where you work, where you play, what is available, what support groups are available, what networking events are available, so that you can get to know other people. Building community is so important, and we learn it in the military, right? Whether it's a key spouse or a booster club or whatever type of community that you're involved in, it's important. We need that human connection. As much as we want to say, I don't need people, I don't need new friends, we do. So I would suggest when it comes to self care, build or create the community that's not there. And the communities that are there, explore them because you don't have to walk this journey alone. D, downtime, make it happen. We always say, I'm going to take the time. Nope, time is going to take from you. You have to make the time to shut down. If you're working, cut that computer off. The work will be there tomorrow when you log on, or next week, or however your PTO or leave is set up. Parents, downtime. We create downtime on our kids' cell phones. This is important because kids have access to everything at a moment's notice. So we have downtime. We create that. That's self care. We're imposing that self care on our kids because if we let them, we don't make boundaries and shut down phones, they'll be on it all night. So self care is a family thing. That downtime, we've put phones away. We've done game night. We've gone to the movies. You have to create and make that downtime when it comes to self care because it's so easy to get caught up and to continue to move and do different things. And before you know it, you're worn out. I'm just talking from experience. If anyone has any comments or you agree to that, let me know. But this is just my journey, right? That downtime is important. If you don't make the time, time will take it from you. And most times we don't get time back. That's one of the biggest things. We do not get time back. And my last point for the ABCs is empathy. And we talked about this earlier, right? Being empathetic for others But also, what about your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions? How do we practice empathy with ourselves? Because some of us, we are so strong and straightforward, and we are carrying these loads where we forgot how to feel. We forgot how to embrace our emotions. Oh, well, I don't want to be labeled as weak, or I don't want people to see my vulnerability. But your vulnerability may open doors for someone else. That may break a cycle for someone else. So you have to be empathetic to yourself. And I know some may say, though, that's not how the definition reads. But why not? Because I need to be in tune with my feelings, with my emotions, and I need to know me. And those are my ABCs. But I have one more tip that I added that I would like to share. And it's self care is dope, right? And if you can see my shirt, which you probably can't, but it says it. It says self care is dope. And I came up with the acronym for it. Self care is discovery. That's what the D stands for. You're discovering what makes you whole, what is healing to you. It's it's different every day. The O stands for self care should be an oasis. It should be your place of peace. Bruni, I know you like to do renovation projects. Like that's your thing. Like that's yours, right? And I can imagine the space that you're in when you're doing that. That's your peace. That's what you like to do. It calms you and you're in your zone. And that's what self care is about, finding those places that are for you and you alone, and it's yours. Self care is a positive thing. I get the question all the time: how do you practice self care and not feel guilty? I don't know. Because being human, it happens. You're going to feel guilty. Oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I should check on this person. Oh man, I feel bad because I said no. No, it's a positive thing because you're learning to set boundaries. You're learning your likes and your dislikes, and it's a positive thing. Feeling guilty could be positive because you're actually taking the time, making the time to practice self care. And the E stands for empowering. Self care is so empowering. When you learn to say no, when you learn your likes and your dislikes, when you learn what works for you, the boldness that you have walking in who you are, nobody will be able to tell you anything. And if they do, you're able to stand strong in your stance on your self care method and what that looks like for you. So, Rooney, that's all I have. It was very short and very sweet, but this is where I am today in my self care journey. It's dope. It's discovery. It should be an oasis. It's positive and it's very empowering.
I love it. I love the acronym and that you came up with. And I think that all of us, I know sometimes it's very hard to develop a habit. I know that I'm really good, like I mentioned earlier, at taking care of myself physically.
Mhm,
And I'm making or trying to make improvements towards my mental and emotional status.
mhm,
And I do use my phone. I have my do not disturb time, and I
yeah,
tell people, and you're better than me. I put from 9:45 to 5:45, do not
yeah,
disturb sign.
okay,
I'm up by 5 o'clock in the morning, and just like you, have my cup of coffee, and I like to relax and kind of meditate and see what I'm gonna have set up for the day, for the rest of the day. And it's
mhm,
not easy
yeah,
because your you have your electronic devices around you all the time, and
mhm,
even if you just checked it and put it down and you picked it back up, and I'm like, what am I picking you back up? I just checked you, so there's nothing to check. But it's just that for so we have become so accustomed to our digital devices that we don't know how to put them down. So
Yes.
Chanike, what are some of the recommendations that you can provide to the audience when it comes to, and I know that you mentioned, close your laptop and step aside, but what are some of the things that we can do to make it a habit on a daily basis to step away from our digital devices so we're able to reconnect with ourselves, to be
Yes.
able to self-care,
Yes.
and most importantly, I think that digital devices are consuming so much of us. So what
Yes.
are some of the things that you would recommend, for us to do to improve upon taking care of ourselves from the digital devices?
So for me, what I would recommend is setting a goal for yourself, a realistic goal, right? So we all know about SMART, making sure it's specific, measurable, all those great points. But set a goal for yourself because I do understand that it is a daily process. So you can start off small. You don't have to say, I'm cold turkey, 24 hours. I'm not talking to anybody, right? But what you can do is readjust your day. So you can start. What does your morning routine look like? So I get up. My house is dead silent. It's dark. The only people that are up are me and Alexa. So I go to the kitchen and I have my routine. I make my tea, and I'll be honest, I do go to my phone, but it's for me to see what do I have to do to prepare for the day. I'm not one of those people that can look at my phone at night and prepare for tomorrow. I'm not set up that way. But that's my quiet time. And it doesn't take long. And then I'll put my phone down. And my do not disturb is on until 7 in the morning. So when my kids are in school, I'm already busy getting the little one up, making sure the teenager is good to go, seeing my husband out the door. But it's setting your morning routine. And I have a sweet spot. So from 6:30 to 7:30, that's when I do my best to work out. And then once I'm done with that, I have this burst of energy. And now I'm like, okay, what else do I need to do? So I would say set a morning routine, and I limit when I pick up my phone. And I have it on do not disturb during the day. And of course, on iPhone, you can do focus, personal work where only certain people can contact you. And I do it that way because I need the schools to be able to contact me. I need my mother to be able to contact me. But it could be hours, and I'll say, and I'll look at my phone and I have all these messages. I'm like, oh, sorry, my phone was down. But it's all about creating your morning routine. Then, how often are you, if you're working, some people do block schedules where they work for a certain period of time and then they take a break and then they come back. But it's all about just creating that routine. And I have a girlfriend who talks about being intentional and being intentional about whatever it is, the goal that you're setting, like making the conscious effort to not pick up your phone, making the conscious effort to spend time in the morning meditating or reading or just centering yourself. I've done that too. I've just gotten up and I've done yoga, and then I start my day. So I would say it's all about the routine that works for you. And be realistic. If you know you can't go 48 hours without your phone, okay, can you try 30 minutes? But the biggest thing, Bruni, is just knowing that it's a daily process. And the goal is to get better each day according to your standards, not what society says, not other people's expectations, but what makes you feel comfortable and what makes you feel whole. So that's my suggestion. A morning routine or daily routine that works for you.
Well,
I
thank you,
hope.
Shanique. That is no, actually, that is a really great advice, and I'm getting there with
Mhm.
waking up in the morning and having my cup of coffee, but I need to set up more boundaries, and that
Mhm.
is something that I don't have yet, that I'm learning because I'm always available for everybody except from 9:45 to 5:45 in the morning when my phone shows up. So you can text me, you can email me, but my phone is not going to answer that because I'm already on bed.
But Bruni,
Uh,
I would also take it a step further and ask yourself, why is it hard for you to set boundaries? What is it that makes you feel like you have to be there? And that may be something that you can work through on your own, or now I'm all for it, maybe something that you have to get assistance with professionally through mental health, right? And I say that because there's a trigger there. And I know because for me, um, I had an incident when I was on active duty where I thought someone was going to be there forever and they weren't. So that made me available to other people all the time because I missed the opportunity, right? So that is what I would ask myself. And then I think that's where you'll find more clarity because now you know what it is and why you feel that you have to always be available.
and it's hard making the transition from the military into the civilian sector where you are always in position of responsibilities, right? Being the
Mhm.
supervisor, being the leader,
Yes.
and they issue you, your own devices.
Yep.
So you feel like you're in the uniform 24/7. And when you're
Yep.
in the uniform 24/7, you should be available at any given time to respond to emails, texts,
Yeah.
calls. So it's just been a hard transition for
Yeah.
me in that aspect, and not being available. Like I said, I'm starting by
Yeah.
9:45 to 5:45, with that not disturb sign. But the rest of the day, anybody can reach me because I feel like I need to be there for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So, but yes, it's something that is still a work in progress for me,
Yes.
Shanika.
Yep. I
I'm
get
pretty
it.
sure I am not the only one.
No.
A lot of people out there that are probably in the same shoes as I am,
Yeah.
particularly coming from the military into the civilian sector. With I know that a lot of us struggle to make that pivot.
Yeah.
And we still don't know how to manage ourselves, um, being reintegrated back into the civilian sector.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate all your input. And I
Mhm.
know that we have some comments over here from Val. Know that we will not become self experts overnight. If you
Mhm.
messed up on one day, know that the next day you can take from your learnings of why you fell off the wagon for going forward. Always look towards the future instead of dwelling on the past. Thank you
Yes.
so much for saying that, Val.
Yes.
I really appreciate everybody's comments and feedback.
Yes. I love that comment. And it's so true. And I think that's the other thing that sometimes we forget. We're human beings. And the beauty of making it to the next day is we get to try it over again.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Shanika, thank you so much, for your insightful comments and for providing another great coaching and training section for us here at LTI because we are always striving our best to provide, our audience and our people,
Yes.
with the best of the best. And you're the expert in self care, and we really value all your inputs and recommendations that you make on during our monthly training and coaching section. So I really appreciate that. And I looked very quickly over here. I didn't see any pressing questions, mostly comments out there in social media. So I really appreciate your time here with us.
Yes.
And the last thing that I have to say, I hope that you and your family have a very happy Thanksgiving this week and happy holidays as well. And this is just not only for you, but for everyone that is watching today. So thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
being with us today.
Yes. And to everyone out there, remember it's a journey that you don't have to take by yourself. And it's okay to start over every day. We are supposed to live. And that's the most important thing. So I wish you all a great holiday season, whatever that looks like for you. And I just really appreciate all of you that took your time out to hear our discussion today.
Thank you so much, Anika. Bye, everybody.
Bye.